Is outsourcing the future? That's the question that our panel will be addressing today. For anybody who arrived in the last few minutes, my name is Mark Lee. It's my pleasure and privilege to be hosting this panel session on behalf of Global Infosys. Arun, the Chief Executive of Global Infosys, doesn't have a microphone. His team think that's good. I think it's a bit cheeky. But he can reach one, so if he doesn't like what I'm saying, he will grab it. And if there are any questions later that Arun is best placed to answer, he will address them. The panel, however, are going to be sharing their experiences and views, and I'll be encouraging them to do that, and also then taking your questions. In order to take your questions, I will come forward with my microphone and ask you to speak into the microphone so that everybody can hear you. But first, let me introduce our panel to you. We have 4 members of the panel. I'll introduce them by name, and then they will introduce themselves, and I'll encourage them to do that one by one. We have Alistair, Devinder, Catherine, and Sudhir. If we start at the far end, Alistair, who are you and where do you come from?
Thanks, Mark. I'm Alistair Barlow. I am founder and chief dreamer at a firm here in London called Flinder. We are an accounting, consulting, and data analytics business, and we set up 2 years ago. We have 15 people in our organisation, and prior to that, I was at PwC for 16 years in different countries and different business units.
Thank you.
My name's Devinder.
Sorry, can you hold it closer to your mouth?
My name's Devinder. I'm a partner in a 2-partner firm based in rural Worcestershire.
Can you hear Devinder? Yeah. Can you hold it closer to your mouth?
What? Oh, Jim. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. I'm Devinder. I'm a partner in a 2-partner firm in rural Worcestershire. We are a firm of accountants, and we have about 9 staff, including 1 in the Philippines.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Catherine from Utopia Solutions. I'm part of a 3-partner practice. We only started up about 18 months ago, but we're really focused on advisory work, also dealing with tech solutions, building app stacks for clients.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Sudhir. I'm a partner at Jeffries Henry, based in London. We're about 85 strong, 10 partners. We've been outsourcing for about 5 years.
Thank you very much. So there we have 4 members of our panel, all very different. Alistair runs a cloud-focused practice. Everybody works remotely. I think Devinder's practice has 9 staff at the moment, 2 partners. Catherine, there's 3 partners running it. They all have relatively small portfolios of clients because the clients are receiving higher-level advisory services more than compliance work. And Sudhir is from a top 70 firm with 10 partners. So very different backgrounds and experiences. Echoing the point I made before we started, everyone is special and different, has different experiences and backgrounds. What I'd like you each to do now, if you would, is just to explain what prompted you to start outsourcing. And if we start at this end and work back this time.
Our primary reason was effectively resourcing. Just obviously in London, staffing is quite difficult and challenging. But additionally, we've run out of space in terms of staff. So actually just being able to get work done and accelerating our growth.
Thank you very much. And please, each of you, remember to keep the mic as close to your mouth as possible. If you turn your head and leave the mic where it was, you lose the sound.
So we first started using outsourcing in my previous practice. Our backs were really against the wall. We'd lost a lot of staff, a lot of staff turnover. We didn't know how we were going to reach the deadlines. So we looked to outsourcing, and it was a really effective solution for us. So we had quick turnarounds, and it was a lot cheaper, actually, than using additional staff.
Thank you.
We started outsourcing about August last year. We reached a bottleneck within the firm. We were sending out accounts jobs in the 9th month, and we just really had to do something about it. And outsourcing was a solution.
So my experiences of outsourcing maybe a little bit more mature in the sense that if I go wind back 10 years of my career, I was part of a program in PwC where we designed and built our own internal shared service center across 6 of the territory firms. I was part of that program, and so from then onwards I've been involved in consulting in terms of large-scale BPO work, assessing those, building and designing shared service centers for our clients across Europe. And so it's part of my DNA. And as part of Flinder, when we set our business model and our operating model up, we were always, and we still are always, continually refining what our service delivery model looks like. And that service delivery model would always have outsourcing as a component of it, because of the efficiency, the effectiveness we can get as that being a component part of it.
Thanks, Alistair. So what we see there are primary reasons for choosing to outsource, partly forced on large firm because of a lack of space to take on more staff despite the increased workload, partly a challenge in recruiting the right people or the right level and quality of people. And let's not forget that challenge is sometimes under-recognized, because it takes a huge amount of time to identify precisely what you need, to try and find the right people, to interview those people, to induct those people, to hope they stay with you, to train them up, to integrate them into your teams. Let's not forget all of that as amongst the challenges of recruiting more people to join your team. And then also the desire to build a future-focused practice that recognises the facility for people to work remotely. And if you've got people working remotely, does it matter if they're based in the office next door, the town next door, the country next door, or another country somewhere else where they can be working at night while you're sleeping? So you can get faster turnaround as well. Now, having talked about why you chose to outsource generally, perhaps we could move on to why you chose to work with Global Infosys, and whether you have any experience of having worked with other outsourcing companies. Devinder, would you like to go first? Please hold the mic touching your chin.
Okay. So when we decided to outsource in about August last year, I knew from a visit to Accountex that one of the buzzwords was outsourcing. So we downloaded the list of exhibitors who are outsourcers, and we literally picked 2 or 3 of those, and we trialed those, and GI was the one we went with purely because of the quality of the work. Yeah, quality of the work and the way it was turned around.
So the quality of the work and the way it was delivered,
yes,
from GI as compared to the other firm that you tried with?
Entirely.
Yeah. It was what entirely?
I said absolutely.
Entirely. I'm delighted. Well, that's good to know. Okay, Alistair.
So a very similar story, actually. In terms of we did an RFP process with 3.
Sorry, you used an RFP process. Sorry, if you didn't catch it before, Alistair is ex-PwC.
Apparently, I talk a different language to a lot of accountants.
is
Sorry, we did a request for proposal. Yeah, we issued a certain criteria that we were asking them to respond to. Which were almost like our functional spec, if you like, our requirements, our demands. And so out of that process, the three parties replied to us. 2 of them were reasonably interesting. So we trialed 2. One of them got knocked away at that process. Trial 2 very much like my fellow panelists on the left here, Devinder. Yeah, and trialed them both, and GI was the clear favourite, and we pressed ahead. And we've now moved up that value curve with GI from starting reasonably small with compliance work, and now we're moving up, and where we've actually got a full-time equivalent in GI's location in India as well. So we're really leveraging that and moving. And actually, we're now looking to as soon as possible hire another person in India as well, and really continue leveraging that delivery model. And
I know from something Alistair was telling me earlier that whilst all of his team work remotely, one of the concerns you had was that whoever's working through GI for you in India isn't necessarily part of the team in the same way, but you had a solution to that as well.
Yeah, so culture, and whilst we do operate an unlimited holiday and we operate a flexible working culture, we do have a nucleus in our office here at London Bridge, and one of the challenges, not necessarily an issue, one of the challenges, things we have to overcome is that we want the team to feel inclusive. We want everyone to be part of that culture. It's hugely important to us as we grow, and so we don't want a them and us concept. And so things like Slack, Zoom, which are applications for communication and video calling, if you've not come across them, are really important to be able to engage with the team in India and kind of make them feel part of that team and have that kind of collaboration feel within the organisation still.
Thank you for that. Catherine, why did you choose GI, or your colleague chose them, I think it was?
We came across GI through working with Heather Townsend. We thought we'd try them. We hadn't really looked into any of the others. The idea was that we were then going to try other ones, but to be honest, it worked so well. Everyone seemed happy with the process, happy with the team, that we didn't really look any further. We just carried on.
Well, that's a huge testament to the firm as well. Sudhir's answer is going to be slightly different. Go on.
Well, we initially worked with GI, but we do work with other partners as well.
Keep it on your chin.
The important thing for us is having a UK presence. What we didn't want to deal with was with outsourcers that were based in Mumbai and only dealt with via Mumbai or the Philippines or Chennai. It had to be a UK presence business, because we want constant communication with the guys in charge here as much as the guys in India.
So, because the mic wasn't working quite as well as it might have been there, I think if I could just paraphrase some of that, what was particularly important for you was the UK presence that not all outsourcers provide, and the facility to engage with the people in the UK rather than only be dealing directly with people in Mumbai, particularly important. The final question for each of you has just popped out of my head, so we'll have a look here before we pass it over to everyone in the audience. Yeah, the related question there is, what work is it you're outsourcing? How did you start the outsourcing process with GI, and has that evolved and changed over the time you've been working them? Alistair's going to go first.
So it's quite fresh to us, so I'll pick up first, Mark, so thank you. So for us, we have a very high average, MRR, I'll translate that, monthly recurring revenue for our clients, so a very high average price point. And initially we were very guarded in terms of what we wanted to offshore. We wanted to very much make sure the process was working, it was slick, there was no impact to our clients, and I'm happy to say there has been absolutely no impact to clients. But we started doing it very piecemeal, very ad hoc on compliance-only things like statutory accounts. For our firm, because we have a fewer number of clients but very high average value, we don't do that very often ourselves, and we saw a huge benefit of doing that in an organization that does that day in, day out, that actually can deliver a much better experience and expertise on those statutory accounts and tax. So that was a no-brainer for us to pass out initially. So that's what we started with. Quality, fantastic. As I mentioned before, we're moving up that value curve, whereby now actually we're transferring a lot more work. Again, we're doing transactional work, but it's on very high value accounts for us that need engagement every single day, and that's why we've engaged with a full-time employee in GI in India.
Thank you. Devinder, mic on your chin, please.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so we started with accounts production, year-end accounts production, and now we've moved on to sending payroll, the VAT, and bookkeeping. It's transformed my partners and my work life entirely. We can now concentrate on giving other advisory services, which we were spending time reviewing, etc. So yes, we've moved on.
And I think you said to me earlier that, because I asked the question, Devinder's got 9 staff, so why suddenly start outsourcing? Why not recruit more staff? And the challenge was finding more staff.
Yes, we found that we're an all-female firm of accountants, and quite a lot of our staff are part-time staff, and we found it very, very difficult recruiting when somebody left. Also, we found that we trained somebody, say, in payroll, and then they left. We couldn't replace that person quickly. So GI is a solution, because if we send the payroll out, it doesn't matter if staff leave. It's a continuous service, and that's really important for us.
Which is again a wonderful testament to the way that GI are providing the service that you require. And I think you said that if any member of staff leaves, well, I'll let you finish that.
Going forward, if any staff leave, we don't intend to replace a UK manual staff here. We intend to try and outsource all of that work. So that's the plan anyway.
Yeah, well, and it makes sense.
Because we only need a certain level of staff here to manage the workflow, and a certain level
really
of
important
staff to do the advisory work.
Thank you. Catherine, how did your journey work? I think it was principally at your previous firm.
I feel that we were quite mean, actually, to Global Infosys initially. We gave them our worst jobs, so that the work that no one wanted to do, the ones that were not profitable for us to do internally, rather than get rid of the clients, we thought, well, let's just throw it to Global Infosys, see what happens. And they came back on budget, on time, and actually turned previously unprofitable jobs into profitable jobs for us. So that was the testing ground, and then we rolled it out. So we're currently sending about 50% of our accounts work across all platforms, and they'll work with any systems, which is great as well, because for some staff, if we've only got a few jobs on a certain system, we haven't got the level of knowledge to be able to do the work quickly enough. So it's a good solution for that.
Fantastic. That's a great answer. Thank you. And Sudhir, what's your experience here?
Like most people, we started with year ends, but actually it's a case of now what we don't outsource, and that's primarily payroll. Apart from that, everything else, we have an element of outsourcing, whether it's tax returns, whether it's company secretarial, whether it's audit work, whether it's year end. Across the platforms, we will outsource most bits of work. One of the other good bits that we're doing with GI is where there's a client that might need constant touch points during the week, which I can't commercially provide as a service because it will be too expensive. We get GI to have a direct engagement with the client. You know, we're comfortable with that. We get lots of other work from the client, but it actually satisfies what the client requires.
That's wonderful. Well, I think you've probably heard enough from the panelists now. I'm going to take questions from the floor, and we'll decide amongst ourselves who's best placed to answer them. Who would like to ask the second question? Because nobody ever wants to ask the first one. Sir, I shall come to you. Please speak clearly into the microphone.
Hi, my name is Barrett. I run a very small firm of accountants. As my staff have left me, we've automated as much as we can, but I've been thinking about outsourcing for a long, long time and haven't quite made the decision. I think I'm slightly scared to do it. I'm not sure how to do it. I've spoken to Mariana, and I think I'm very close to doing it, but I'm not sure. I'm worried about how much it's going to cost me. I'm worried about losing contact with my clients if other people are doing the work. And will I still have the same connectivity? And if it works really well, I'm also scared about not having enough work to do myself. So
there's two or three questions in there. Thank you for that. One is, well, I'm going to address the last question while you might want to gather your thoughts. What's the accountant going to do if he or she is outsourcing? When we finish at 4:30, just before we finish, I will share with you my own views on outsourcing, which I only started sharing publicly very, very recently, about what I would do if I was starting in practice now. I doubt that you went into accountancy, that anybody goes into accountancy, because they want to do bookkeeping, prepare accounts, and prepare tax returns. But many accountants, particularly smaller practitioners, find that that's what they spend the bulk of their time doing. And then they get scared, very, very common, completely understand. They get scared of letting go of that work because what will I do? Well, what you may do for those of your clients that would benefit from it is offer them advice, be that financial advice, be that commercial or strategic advice. I meet accountants, I work with accountants on a regular basis who are scared, they don't know how could they give their clients advice, what do they know? You've got the experience of, I'm assuming more than a few years, of having worked with many clients, a structured approach to providing advice that clients are willing to pay for takes a bit of time to get used to doing it. You have to practice it, you have to try it out for a while. Get the hang of it. Identify the 3 Ps. How are you going to learn to promote it effectively? How are you going to learn to pitch it effectively so that the clients agree to pay the fees for that advisory work? And then thirdly, how are you going to provide that service and deliver value? And as Alistair alluded to earlier, there's a lot of technology out there that can help you and guide you there, and people like Heather, myself, and other consultants and trainers and mentors within the profession to help guide you as well. But if you've got plenty of time and you're happy doing the work yourself, you're not going to start outsourcing, because it's not going to reduce your costs if you're doing it yourself at the moment, because it will be a cost. If you've got staff who leave you, and I know, talking to Aaron before, a lot of people start outsourcing when they lose a member of staff and they just don't want to do the work themselves. And Aaron, I think you should answer the question in terms of the cost side of things. Are the costs going to run away with us if we start outsourcing?
No, because for me, it doesn't make any difference if the person is sitting in your office is doing the work, or if the person is sitting in my office is doing the work. It's the same thing. And I think a lot of the client engagement, it's you who is having the engagement with the client, isn't it? It's not the staff member. Yeah, I know there's some interaction, but it's you, it's your client. So, and what as Mark rightly said, what a lot of clients do is that when they start losing staff members, that's when they start to they have to take a decision whether to go out and recruit or outsource. And obviously there's a cost of recruitment, the cost of training. If I'm taking all that headache, then why do you want that?
And in terms of the cost and the costs running away, that's not going to happen, is it?
No.
Because you offer a fixed...
We offer, yeah, it's prompting me. We offer, because you are on a fixed fee basis with your clients, and if I'm offering a fixed fee for you, then I'm sure it's a win-win for all of us, isn't it?
Well, I think it's more than that, because the astonishing thing is, if you're employing staff and they screw up or they make a mistake, you've paid them the salary and they got it wrong in the first place, and then you carry on paying them to get it right afterwards. When you outsource to Global Infosys, you're paying a fixed fee, and that's the fee you pay, and until it's right, in the unlikely event that it's wrong.
And also, it's in my interest to make it right, because I've almost, in the last couple of years, almost 50% of our clients have come through referrals. So I know the value of referrals. I know the value of engaging with my clients and keeping a relationship with the client. If I'm providing a good service to the client, yes, I'm not saying we are 100% perfect. We do make mistakes. But we are here. We've got a team in the UK. We've got a team of about 10 people here who are there to engage with you and make sure you get what you expect. It's an expectation gap. So we are here in the UK to manage the expectation between our back office operations in India and you as clients.
And just to stress, when Aaron says he likes to meet his clients, he means the accountants, not the accountants' clients.
True.
Just to be absolutely clear on that. Does anybody on the panel remember the question?
Yeah, so the second question, I think, was around losing touch with your clients, I think. So to give you my experience, whilst we use GI, we've used them in a couple of different capacities. We have an FT there. They don't have any contact directly with our clients. That's just the way we've chosen to do it at the moment. We may change that going forward, and we may slowly be embedding that in. But at the moment, they have zero contact with our clients, so we still have 100% of that relationship with them, and ownership and accountability and responsibility.
Thank you. I think Aaron wants to add something.
I think different clients work differently. For example, as Sudhir rightly mentioned, there's some clients, it's not cost effective for him to engage with those clients. Then we would engage with that client directly, but with his permission, and we deal with the client. And at the end of the day, when Sudhir gets his year-end file, I think he makes his money at the end of the year, and it works for both of us. So it's different situations apply to different people, and different. All our clients are different, so we can tailor a product specific to your needs.
Just to add that the large majority of our clients have no idea that we outsource the work to Mumbai, so they will have no understanding. The contact will be totally with you. As far as cost, as has been alluded, it's a fixed fee model, or you can go down the FT model. The fixed fee, you know what the cost is. So, you're able to make money on jobs previously that you would not have made a profit on when you've got junior staff or on the review process going through that. An average file that I get from Mumbai, I probably spend an hour reviewing, and then that gives me plenty of time then to go and meet the client and spend as much time with them, get more touch points with the client. So I wouldn't, to me, the year-end side of it is an absolute no-brainer.
That's wonderful, thank you. Rather than having everybody answer the same question, could I just ask Catherine and Devinder a related question, which is, what sort of savings have you seen as a result of outsourcing?
But I'd say probably about 50% of savings. It depends really how you've priced the client. So on our really poor fees that we've had, it's turned a loss into a slight positive. The majority, it's about 50%. But for us, it's just more about the service delivery. You know, we were really struggling, really working up to deadlines, and our relationships with the clients were really suffering. But now we're able to turn it around a lot quicker, and it's really improved. And it's just a different conversation now we're having with clients. We're being a lot more proactive than we used to be.
Thank you. Devinder?
Yeah, that's almost exactly the same for us. You know, I think recovery about 50%, and some jobs, certainly on, say, payroll never makes any money, but we are starting to make on something even on payroll. But it's efficiency. We were not turning around compliance jobs on time, and for us we just weren't providing the service that we'd promised the client, and now we are being able to do that. That's worth far more than the profit element. It's a service, the end service that we provide to our clients.
Wonderful answers, thank you. I hope you got the information you needed for that. Another question, please. Sir, I'm going to hang on to the mic.
Yeah, my name is Dharmalingam, same as the gentleman. I have small practices, but my practices for the last 30 years. But I have many things I have seen. Now, number one question is outsourcing the people is you are doing for because of cost, not for anything else. Purely cost, because the problem is, are they doing the job what you want to do it, the way in? And other problem you have, how you send the document there, and the document have to come back. For example, VAT, if you send it in the early part of the month, at least before the end of the month, you got to get back all the documents, because HMRC can check, you have to keep it for 6 years.
So I think the first part of it, thank you very much, I think the first part of your question was addressed earlier, in terms of it isn't just the cost issue, it's the quality of the service that's provided. There are cost savings as distinct from using employees. It's time saving and freeing up the sole practitioner's time if they don't have staff, and allowing them to take on more work that they might not otherwise want to do. But when I went freelance, I decided I was never going to employ anybody. Yeah? If I was an accountant in practice and I'd made that decision, I would be turning away work that clients want, or prospective clients want done. And now the facility exists to outsource it simply and easily, and the technology that's available now makes it just much more practical.
My view with outsourcing is to get the job done, and cost saving, in my view, is just a byproduct of this whole exercise. So.
What I would say is, to answer your question around how you get information across to Mumbai or wherever, is technology. You know, you by the sounds of it, the way that you're operating is quite an old-fashioned way in terms of paper, etc., etc. You have to be you have to be more embracing of new technology, and that's the way how you engage.
Yeah. Any other questions? Sir?
Oh, okay. My name is Ili Maisenda. I'm a sole practitioner.
It says you're a chief executive officer.
That's right. From what I gather initially, I mean, GI works across all software, all platforms and stuff. So in order to work with GI, what software, if any, does one need to invest in to be able to work with GI?
Great question, Eddie. Thank you. What software does everybody need to invest in order to work with GI?
We don't promote any specific software, because each client is different. Each of our clients work on different softwares. It's up to you what you are comfortable with, because we are comfortable with whatever you are comfortable with. At the end of the day, we are in the service sector. We don't want to impose. We can come up with suggestions in terms of what is a good software for you to work, but at the end of the day, whatever practice management software you're using, whatever for softwares are using for bookkeeping, management accounts, It's your choice. But you can, happy for you to talk to my clients to say which one works for them, and then it's up to you to take the right choice. Whichever you want to work with, will work with you on it.
I wonder whether a hidden implication in Illy's question is the fact that at least one outsourcing company requires clients to use a particular platform that they might not be comfortable with, and that's rather complex and sophisticated.
I'm aware of that, and which is why we are providing this flexibility to our clients, that we are not going to impose things onto you. We are here to work with you, not to impose our systems onto you.
Sorry, let me just add to that. So, to your point about the application there, we're a very, very technology-enabled, data-driven business, probably one of the most so as emerging practices at the moment. And that was one of the reasons we didn't go with that other outsourcing company, because the change management in it just wasn't user friendly, and it has to be friendly. It has to be easy to be able to move activities offshore onto a different delivery model, and that's what we found with GI. It was just seamless.
Devinder, could I ask you to add a comment on this issue, because your practice is based in Hertford, did you say?
In Worcestershire.
In Worcestershire, in the middle of the country somewhere?
Sorry?
In the middle of the country somewhere?
Yeah, it's very rural.
Very rural, that was the word I was looking for.
That's right.
So how technologically advanced is your practice?
We are cloud-based, but we used VT transactions and VT for accounts production. We've moved on to another software, but even for that, GI they just accommodated that and any other software that we use. So we didn't really have to make any software changes initially to use GI. They just said, okay, so what do you use? So this is what we use. Even for our payroll.
Brilliant.
What do you use? Okay, we'll use that.
That's very helpful.
That's what we wanted to hear, really.
Thank you very much. I'm being given the signal that the time is up. We are at 4:30. Before you all go, I promised that I would share my own personal view, which I have started publicly sharing, and I've said this publicly now. I'm somebody who was in practice for 25 years. I chose not to stay in practice in 2006. I am absolutely clear. If I was starting an accountancy practice now, at whatever age, I would be looking to outsource from day one. Why on earth would I want to start employing staff when I can get the work done by another organisation that deals with all of the staffing issues and headaches and resolves any work problems in terms of what's being provided to clients? How fantastic that the technology enables us to do that now, and that Global Infosys has the sort of reputation that's enabled them to attract 4 of their clients to come and speak to you today. So I would invite you, please, to thank Arun and the panel in the usual way.